And we live. Hello and welcome everyone. It's time for another fantastic, kind of wonderful, amazing episode of IT Career in Australia channel. And today's discussion is about AI's impact on mental health, help or harm. So with the rise of AI-driven tools like chatbots, are we helping or actually harming our mental wellness? So our speakers will look at both sides, from the risk of some dependency and potential addictions to chatbots, to the ways AI can be really useful, and some valuable tools like mental health support, virtual therapy sessions, and some mood tracking apps and so on. So we'll try to look to both sides of the story. So make sure to get your questions ready and your stories ready for our today's discussion. It's a bit unusual discussion for this channel. And of course, don't forget to introduce yourselves in the comments and let us know what you do, and join our conversation with your questions. Always encourage you to use this live stream not only to learn some new information, but to network with people in the industry as well. And if you forgot, I'm Jana Martins, and I'm here basically every week at 5:30 p.m. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you're watching us on LinkedIn, then obviously go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have a meetup group that I really encourage you to join, especially if you're in Melbourne, because we do have fun face-to-face events in Melbourne. We have a Tech Walking Australia group where we actually go for a walk around Albert Park. And we have a next walk in January. So we just ran one last weekend. So already next one scheduled for next year. So if you want to, be healthy and shed some calories while you're connecting with people, join our walk in January. James is here saying hi. Rahul is here. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. Mark is here from Auckland. Perfect. All the regulars here. Thank you, guys, for joining me. And without any further delays, I'll pass it on to our speakers to introduce themselves. Meg, please, we'll start with you.
Great, thank you, Jana. So Meg Price. I have an interesting background in that my original background is in human resources. And then about four and a half years ago, probably through COVID and too much COVID and too much lockdowns in Melbourne, a couple of us came up with the idea of creating an AI coach. Now, this was before generative AI, so it was a really interesting idea, and we ran with it, and we did lots of research, and we started building an AI coach. But for me, I then had a bit of an ethical dilemma, because I'd spent my career helping people thrive and flourish in the workplace, and now I'm creating something with AI. Is it going to help people, or is it going to be something like a social media that could also have harms? So that has led me into now studying and doing my PhD in looking at generative AI and human flourishing. So that's sort of how I got here, I guess, and got to this conversation.
Perfect. Thank you, Meg. And Martin, over to you, please.
Yeah, I got this kind of weird combination of, on the one hand, I have a master's degree in computer science and technology, and I did my first IT startup back in 2000. So I have kind of that stream of starting and running IT companies. And then I also have a master's degree in psychology, and I'm a licensed psychologist. I went back to uni in 2008 or something, because I started getting really interested in the mind and mental health and our capacity to just cultivate good qualities in our brain. So I'm a lot of what I do these days is centered around things like mindfulness, meditation, and contemplative practices. The current IT company that I'm the CEO of does apps for mobile phones that are specifically in mindfulness and those kind of things. And Yeah, I've always really been interested in emerging technologies and how they can, benefit human flourishing. And I think AI has tremendous potential to do that, but it's also, it's probably has tremendous capacity to just wreck us all as well. So it's there's this huge promise there, but how can we make sure that these things are implemented in ways that are ethical and really benefit humans in the end? So that's kind of how I'm coming at this thing.
Perfect, perfect. We have quite a few more people joining. With Jeff is here, Jim is here, holistic data philosopher. James actually has a similar background. He's been in IT for 25 years and then studied mental health and seen many businesses trade employee mental health for outcomes and profit. And so, that's probably another big conversation. But today, let's talk about AI, and let's talk. I guess we'll focus today on more like a generative AI and some new tools that've been coming up, and with the generative AI buzz at the moment. And one thing I want to start with, just because it's been in the media and just because it's been a lot of talk about it, and I thought maybe start with this example about the mom who took the character AI to court because she believes that her 14 years old son actually committed suicide because he developed the relationship with AI bot. And the last interaction before he took his life was with this character AI bot, and she believes that actually prompted him to commit suicide. And there's a lot of kind of details of the story, but I guess my question to you guys, what do you think about that story? Do you actually feel like character AI actually prompt that suicide and prompted teenager to commit suicide? Or regardless, if it wouldn't be chatbot, it would be social media, it would be some friend, it could be something else, and it would happen anyway. So it's not kind of the main cause of what's happened with the boys. So I guess would love to hear your opinion and maybe some details that I don't know, you read about the story as well. So Meg, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Look, I think it is a really interesting story, and there's a great podcast on it with I think Your Undivided Attention, the Centre of Humane Tech, did a podcast with an interview of the mother. So there's some really interesting sort of story in that, and I think we just have to be really careful when we're talking about suicide or anything like that. There is always going to be more complexity and more to the picture than just AI or just social media. But that said, I think it's a really good example to say, what are we doing in the AI space that is good? What are the consequences of what we're doing in AI that can be good and that can be bad? I think it's a bit of a wake-up call to something like character AI, and also for parents who, have been pretty vigilant and they're looking at social media and they're trying to do the right things, but they probably weren't even aware that we've got, and character AI has a lot of generally young boys from sort of 14, 15 to 21, chatting to all sorts of characters. A lot of them talk to like people, their YouTube or gamer people that have turned into an AI. So they think sometimes on these platforms that they're actually really speaking to a person. And I think that's where we're always saying with AI, the guidelines are, you are speaking to technology. There is no person at the end of this. And I think with that story, what that mother was saying, there wasn't enough of that in there. There wasn't enough constant messaging that this is just a machine. And even though she said, her son said, oh, look, I know it's a bot, it made him feel like it wasn't. And I wonder if we're doing that with AI. And Martin, you might want to come in here. I think there's a real concern when we we're not really obvious with what's technology and what's not, because you blur a line that I think can cause some really tragic circumstances like that young boy's life.
Yeah, Martin, over to you.
Yeah. So, first of all, I think it's interesting. It's always so obviously the topic of young people and suicide is such a loaded one, and I'm not old enough to quite remember when it was the fault of rock music, but I do remember when it was the the imported VHS tapes with horror movies, and then it was hip hop music and computer games. So there's always something that is causing young people to or at least these things get sometimes blown out of proportion in popular culture, and it's easy to grab onto anecdotal evidence like this. So it's so I'm always, I think we definitely need more data before we can say that chatbots are causing young people to commit suicide. But having said that, I totally agree with Meg's point that so we tend to anthropomorphize these chatbots. And there was, I don't remember what university, but there was a study on users of ChatGPT that recently came out, and a majority of them thought that ChatGPT had some level of consciousness. So they, meaning that they felt that they were conversing with something that potentially had feelings and thoughts and emotions and intentions and all the things that we associate with consciousness. So it's very clear that the chatbots, they are statistical heuristical prediction machines. They are not conscious beings, and they're certainly not Daenerys Targaryen or whoever this specific chatbot was personifying. So, but I think that's actually a larger problem that we have to contend with, that and it's going to get worse when we have humanoid robots that walk around and perfectly mimic human behavior. We are definitely going to attribute consciousness and feelings, and we are going to attach to them in ways that might or might not be healthy. So it's really good to have that awareness that as humans we have that tendency. We anthropomorphize our car, so why not our chatbots? I think I completely agree with that point, Meg, that's kind of where the danger lies if people don't understand what they're actually interacting with.
And I'll jump in if I can, Jan. I think one of the interesting things too is, even when we know it's a computer, some of the work that Sherry Turkle's done, she's written a few books around this, and she even talks about back, I think it was in the 90s, the Tamagotchi, and then we had some Furbies and stuff. Now, people knew these were toys, but you had to keep them alive and you had to teach them how to talk and do things. So even though kids knew they're not a human, once we take care of something, we expect some sort of care in return as humans. This is how we work. So there's a really fine line there. We still know that it's an AI. We still know that the Tamagotchi or the Furby or the little dog is not real, but we care for it as though it is. And somehow along the way, we kind of expect that it's also going to be looking after us. And you're right, it's not. It's just programmed to come up with the next logical word.
I definitely remember waking up in the middle of the night and feeding Tamagotchi because it was hungry and and needed some help. But I kind of get over it after like a few days, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't know. I probably was I don't know, maybe 10 at the time or something like this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was definitely that kind of the as you are saying, like caring for someone and get a bit of attachment. But do you feel like it's getting even like obviously more dangerous now with the AI bots because they sound like human? And maybe let's not, obviously the teenagers is a more prompt to be vulnerable in this situation. But what about like adults? Yep. So a lot of those chatbots position as a cure for loneliness, for example. Yes. So you don't have anyone to chat with the chatbot. Do you think like that actually can be even worse in some situation, because the person just keep coming to that like imaginary chatbot, imaginary person, and then when they need to go and talk with real people, the real people maybe not saying everything that you want to hear. So what is your kind of view? Is it like helpful to when you feel lonely, go and chat with the AI bot instead of and feel a bit more understood? Because we all know loneliness is about being understood. It's not being by yourself. And is it that fake feeling of being understood, or is it actually something helpful?
You want me to? I'll jump in and let Martin follow if you like. I think this is a really sort of murky area, even in the research, because there are some really good AIs that actually help people and help give people the tools to actually go and connect with somebody else. So they're actually designed to help people that might be lonely to get out there, and they might actually help that person. Now, there are some other AIs that are built for profit, and therefore they want to keep you on the AI for as long as possible. And so they're not necessarily going to help the loneliness problem. So the research is on both sides of this. And I always say to people, when you choose your AI, whether it's your AI coach or your AI companion or whatever you're doing, choose it like you would a friend. If I want a personal assistant, I'm going to do a fair bit of recruiting and make sure that to reference check and make sure that I get a really good personal assistant. If you're going to go out and get an AI for something, do your research on how well is this built? Is it human-centric? Is it there for just efficiency and productivity, or is it there to truly try to help? So that's how I go by it, because I'm amazed how much people get on an AI and give it so much information that if people met me as a stranger in the street and I started asking them for their date of birth and their tax file number and all sorts of things, they wouldn't give it to me, but they're giving all sorts of things to AI. So that's my comparison is choose your AI wisely. Some of them are built for good.
Martin, what's your view on that?
Yeah, I'm just first of all, it's really, I mean, loneliness is like the epidemic of our time, and I don't know exactly. I mean, one aspect of that is I think we're all so busy these days, so just doing things that actually entail actual human connection kind of gets put on the back burner. And I also find, with the clients I see to one, even just after COVID, there's a lot of people have become more fearful even to, go out and do social things. It's like during COVID, a lot of us just retreated into a bubble, and now people it's scary to go out and connect in social situations and all that. And I think to some extent, maybe if you have an AI, I don't think they exist yet, but I think they could help us work with some of those fears, because from a psychological perspective, the way to work with fear and anxiety is to lean into the things that are scary. So maybe we could actually, if you have a social phobia, maybe you could actually practice certain behaviors with a chatbot, and then you can go out and try them on real people. So they like this AI companion could provide you with training of behaviors that you can then go and employ with actual real people. So I'm sure that there can be benefits, but I'm equally sure that we will see people who you will have robotic girlfriend, and they're gonna do exactly what you want and never be a problem and always stroke your ego, and who wouldn't want a girlfriend like that? So maybe people will opt for that at the expense of the human actual real thing, and I'm sure that we'll see some really weird addictions and behaviors in people moving forward. And I'm not sure how we can, because it would be the responsibility of whoever creates those things, but it's also like the responsibility of whoever created Facebook not to have it wreck humanity. And look how that's going. So it's yeah, it's scary that the power to make these good decisions are in the hands of this Silicon Valley elite or whoever built the thing. So yeah, that it I think it can get a bit scary, but I also think there's actually great potential there.
The thing is like more scary than, you mentioned, when the social media come up and, people get addicted to TikTok, I don't know, and things like that. And AI just another sort of tool. So do you think it just sort of, another wave of something, another tool, or it's potentially still a bit more dangerous because how realistic it is in communication?
I think, I mean, there's a good potential. I think we don't have. I think we kind of hit a wall potentially when it comes to the current generative AI methodology. I think there needs to be new inventions for AI to move towards things like AGI and become more competent than they are, or like significantly more competent. But we will probably get there, and when we get there, it's gonna just completely change society from at every level. I don't think we can really comprehend how pervasive this is going to be in our lives. So yeah, but just with the current state of affairs, there isn't much. I don't think there's much danger, like psychological harm. I don't think there's much danger of that where we're at the moment. But I think certainly we're moving into really, really fundamental societal change from AI. And yeah.
Meg, are you quite optimistic about what's happening with AI? Or
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that AI can do some absolutely wonderful things, and it's an incredible tool. I think we need to get as many of us, and that's all of us listening, as many people at the table helping to build guidelines around what it should look like and teach it. I guess teach it like as though we're sort of bringing up this child. Teach it the values that we want humans to live by. I'm not sure if we're all clear on that. To get the AI clear on that, that might be part of the problem. But I think I'm optimistic, but I am concerned that like social media came out to help with connected, to get us more connected, but we seem to have had more disconnection and bullying and all sorts of things that we have to think about as we create. Anybody that creates AI, what are the consequences of the AI that you're creating? What could the consequences be? And how are we mitigating against those? And I'm not sure that I haven't seen enough of those conversations. A lot of the times when I go into workplaces, people are either sort of head in the sand going, oh, well, we don't really use it here. We don't have guidelines in our company. We're just waiting to see. But as Martin said, it's going to be a big part of our lives. I think we should all be at the table having a conversation about it. That's my hope, to bring out more people to help create good AI.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I know, Martin, just to maybe kind of like the marker also have a question sort of on the topic. There is a dehumanization aspect, but because we're moving so fast, I'm not sure we will keep up with putting in check-ins and balances. So yes, how do you feel about keeping up?
Yeah, so one thing I do, I host together with a dear friend named Natalie Hendricks, a podcast called Mindful AI, where we just look at these very aspects of how you can create ethical and beneficial AI. And I think it will always come down to, if we as people can't cultivate the necessary compassion and wisdom and focus within our own minds, it's going to be very difficult to convey those things to AI. It is learning from us, so we, in a sense, we need to be the best versions of ourselves creating AI, and really reflect on what is beneficial, what is harmful, what is the kind of world we would like to enable through AI, and those are really human qualities that needs to be cultivated by humans. I think it's a long ways away before we, some people think we might get artificially conscious AI at some point, and could those then be compassionate and wise? I don't know. Maybe they could be more compassionate and wiser than we are, but we're certainly nowhere near that. So, yeah.
Meg, anything to add for this?
I was actually just thinking about the whole mindful AI side about it, because so much of what AI is we get quick answers, or we get ChatGPT to write something for us, or do something which is so much part of the brain that is just going, that actually we kind of sometimes look at AI and it's a bit of a mirror of us. And I'm not sure that that's a really mindful, present being. So it was sort of a contradiction to think of mindful AI, and that's the concern, isn't it? The way we're going with AI, are we creating this thing and we start talking about it like it is human or conscious, and it sounds human, and you get the voice now of ChatGPT, which sounds like a human, does everything. Are we creating this mirror of something that, do we want to be that? I just think it's really interesting, because this is all disembodied. These bots that we're talking to, there's no body, there's no real empathy. It's all artificial intimacy, artificial empathy. So yeah, it's a bit complex, isn't it?
Yeah, there's definitely a few components. Also, maybe kind of want to bring us to the positive side as well, because there is all this risk and fears with AI bots, but there is also, I guess, benefits of AI can help, and even can help like therapists to run the sessions better, and take the notes and things like that. So what would be some of the example of like positive use cases that you've seen in maybe in your practice, or some examples where AI actually really helpful when I guess the really common example, the people who promote AI therapy is saying that, you can have it when you need it. If you don't have a therapist at 2 a.m., there is someone who can help you at 2 a.m. when you actually need it, not like 2 days later, then you already forgot, all your emotional state and how you've been. So what is your thoughts about that, positive aspect of AI therapist, and maybe some like mood tracking apps and that AI empowering? So Martin, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So working as a psychologist, I mean, there are already there's a lot of examples of even pre-AI where therapies have been, especially the therapies that can be manualized, and like cognitive behavioral therapies for various like phobias or things like that. They have already been successfully implemented as online self-driven programs, and the science is there to show that they work. And it's as a psychologist, it's unfortunate, but sometimes they work as well as actually having a real therapist. So So I think those kind of things can definitely be implemented with AI. And also, I think, yeah, that what you just mentioned, that also that aspect of monitoring behavior. So, for example, a lot of us or all of us have, unconscious hidden biases that makes us not see reality clearly. Like, some people, there's some blatant, like you're racist or you're misogynist or whatever. But even if we're not at that level, there are lots of things that we have incorporated that we're not even aware of. And if we could have an AI monitor that, it could alert us to, maybe I'm averting my gaze when I see an obese person because I have an unconscious bias against, overweight people, just whatever it is. For me, it would be wonderful to become aware of those biases, because only then can I change them. Or if I'm trying to change a certain behavior, then AI could prompt me that, now it's time to do X, Y, and Z. That, yeah, those are things that I want to do, but I forget in the hustle bustle of everyday life. So it's I think those kind of things that are just also about self-awareness, monitoring, and also aggregating data on my own behavior and analyzing my interactions with others in the world. I think there's a great potential there, definitely.
Meg, what sort of
Yeah.
positive examples you've seen?
Well, I guess I'm a co-founder of an AI coach, so I like to think it's a positive example of AI. And I think when I talk to people that have used ours as an API, so it's used within other people's platforms and apps and things, but people do say they do sometimes look for something that doesn't judge them, that they can ask any questions. So whether it's coaching on well-being or whether it's coaching on a learning topic, people like to ask something without feeling like they're going to be judged. Let me just ask the stupid question to the AI and can have a good chat about it. So I think, and I don't think an AI coach needs to replace a human coach. I think human coaching needs to change the way that it works, because we can actually augment human coaching with AI coaching. So I think there's a lot of positives. And when you look at, there was some stats that brought out, it was quite a while ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, Oracle did a study, and they found that it was something like 3 in 4 people would rather speak to an AI about workplace stress than their manager. And it was like 1 in 2 people would rather speak to an AI than their GP, their doctor, about stress. So the fact that, I don't know what this says about society, but the fact is we've got people who are feeling like they'd like to talk to the AI because it's available anytime. There's no judgment, and they can sometimes get the wording of the question they want to ask a human. They can get like in the frame of mind of, okay, I need to actually reach out to a person about this. How am I going to do it? And they can sort of practice and role play using the AI. So I think in the right situation, it's like social media or anything, used in the right way, there's some huge benefits for these sorts of AI tools. And I love them. I love using any of the AIs, and I often then will say, because they often telling me, they pat me on the back and tell me how great my idea was. So then I'll say to them, okay, flip it around and be the critic and tell me what's wrong with this. And then they come up with stuff on that. So I think it's a great tool to just bounce ideas off.
Yeah, and we have quite a few comments. It's just like a discussion happening in the comments. I just want to quickly feel like Dimi is saying, like, I also just like typing what I can say better than many voice dimension body language. I'm just, like, also, I think Maggie already kind of touched on about it, but I feel like it's also really depends on the person. Some people just feel more comfortable typing, what's in their minds. Really, like, I prefer like to talk with someone. Definitely, like I'm not the person who wanna do chatbots, but I think it's also about that everyone, because everyone wants to interact in different ways. So it's opportunity for some people who actually prefer, typing, and they're more comfortable maybe to even express themselves this way.
Yeah.
Than talking with therapists. So for some people, I think for some people it could be more helpful. For some people, less helpful. So I think it's quite individual as well. So Mark is saying, I have a fear of snakes. There are no snakes in New Zealand. I used the fear tools as a bit of joke, but it helped.
Yeah, I mean that's actually there's a lot of research now on treating specific phobias in virtual reality, and just having the virtual reality experience of snakes is a very effective way of treating phobia of snakes. So it's there's certainly something to that.
I should try it. I hate flying, and I can't really, I've been trying a few things, and I just hate being on the plane and can't even explain it to myself. So maybe I should try the virtual reality for that.
Yeah. Just have to be realistic enough to fool your brain that you're actually doing the real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're doing the 3D, 4D, games and stuff, it does get quite immersive. So, and you do forget that you're actually in the game. So, I kind of feel like it definitely. I can definitely feel like the 4Vs could work quite well in this one.
I realized I actually have a question to the two of you with your backgrounds, and so I'm just sitting here thinking that that there is a potential for AI to remove biases and discriminations in a lot of areas. For example, recruiting and HR. So I mean, if a human recruits someone, they might recruit them because they're a man named Tom who also did rowing in uni, that kind of thing. And whereas AI has the potential to, if it's trained right, obviously, to make more unbiased assessments that can then be the foundation for recruiting, for example. I don't know. Have you come across that? Or?
Yeah, the problem in this, I think they successful in a lot of places. I remember there was a story, I think it was Amazon, where they were trying to do that to get rid of the bias and can use it for recruitment, but they went on all of this past history of people that had been recruited, and there was bias.
So it was training the AI on biased data from
and
previous
they just
recruiting.
couldn't work out why do we keep getting these same people. So again, there's so much bias in AI, and AI is trained on everything that's already happened or that's already on the internet. It's not. It's the past. It's not trained on the future. So to try to train it without bias, I think takes a lot more skill than we realise. And I think a lot of the recruitment ones, that's what they're doing. They are really trying hard to build these models that don't discriminate or they're not biased. But I'm not sure it's as easy as we would like to think. Because also think about where most of the AIs are built, are designed, or the people that have got the money that create these AIs. There's generally they're designed and built in one particular country by often one particular type of
gender.
Yeah, exactly, and a gender and age. So we have a bit of a problem.
I'm in two minds about this one, to be honest. I do kind of feel like the AI could be a really, really helpful tool to eliminate the bias. Currently, how the recruitment works, and because you actually need to make a really quick decisions, and you have a often limited time to actually go a proper assessments. We did run good live stream about it. Is AI ready to replace recruiters and hiring managers? And actually, Bob, she has a startup called Sapia, and that's exactly what they're doing. They sort of trying to eliminate bias from recruitment process, and they basically evaluate candidates based on like a sort of value-based questions without having any of the candidate details. Julian doing similar startup where it's like a video interview with AI again without any details, and it's sort of like the experience-based questions. So I definitely think it was a lot of brewing in this space. And I'm actually really, really curious where it's going to get to. But yes, I feel like it's sort of just a bit of an uncertainty about it. So we do kind of need AI for it, especially for volume recruitment. And I think it will give opportunity for more candidates with the volume recruitment, because their resumes just not even getting opened most of the time. When you get like 400 applications, AI actually give you the chance to get into that sort of like, candidate pool and be assessed and provide some feedback. But yeah, so how, unbiased it can be, then.
And then we need lots of consultants that will help you write your CV in a way that is attractive to the AI, a bit like we're going to have to change all of our search optimization because AI is going to be doing the search. So there's some really good jobs for some IT people. How do we develop CVs that look good to AI?
Yeah, I guess, and currently more and more of those CVs are being written by AI. So you have AI produced CVs being rated by, AI. So, but yeah, I do think this is an interesting example though of because the generative AI works as it does. It's trained on the data we give it and just statistically predicts the next character. It doesn't have any actual understanding. So the question is, can we create AI that have actual understanding of what unbiased really means, and can understand and analyze the world at that level, and not just regurgitate what it's been trained on. I think that will be, if it's possible, it will be a huge leap in like all the areas we talked about, because then AI can also potentially start to discover things that we don't really know yet. It could be regarding mental health or the topics we have here. So if AI can see things through actually understanding the world, or what we know about the human mind and the brain and so on, it can come up with novel ideas, novel theories. It could potentially even help us test those theories and move knowledge forward in a way that an AI that's just been trained on what's there really can't do. So I think that's I think we need that leap to happen for AI to be truly useful to us. So then it can teach us things about the world that we haven't really discovered yet, or even teach us things about ourselves that we potentially haven't discovered yet. Yeah.
I'm cautious about the time. We're getting to like a 43 minutes of our stream. There's quite a few comments coming in, but just want to ask Meg, maybe you can kind of take this question about what are your views on how we're addressing AI's lack of empathy, which is a key part of being human. And interestingly, I just seen there's a new job actually exists. I don't remember how it's called, something like AI semantic trainer or something. There's the people who actually train AI to understand, the kind of the human language and understand the emotions behind it, especially when it's come to like customer service and things like that. So what are your view of that, lack of the empathy in AI?
Oh, I think, look, I think this is a really interesting one, because it is artificial empathy or artificial intimacy. And do we want AI to be humans, or do we want AI to be AI? And AI isn't empathetic because it's not a human. So in my mind, I'm not sure I want to train it to be a human. I want it to augment my intelligence or augment my empathy, but we humans are the ones that do empathy and compassion. I'm not sure I need my AI to do that. It depends on how you're using the AI, I guess, but it's always going to be artificial because it is just a mathematical formula of for the next word. It's not really feeling with you. So if I really want to talk to somebody and I want some empathy, I need to connect with a person, an embodied soul. It's probably controversial.
No, I would second that completely. So the basis for empathy is what's sometimes called empathetic resonance, where if you see someone that suffers, you feel suffering. Due to mirror neurons in our brains, due to the fact that we are embodied as we are. So that's what empathy is. It's the shared experience of someone's pain. And then we kind of need to move out from that, because if we stay with that pain, we might get burnt out and drained. So we kind of need to move into compassion, which might be a different state of mind. But the thing is that AI obviously can't do that because it doesn't have any mirror neurons and it isn't embodied. So it can only present us with the emulation of empathy. And maybe in certain use cases, it's good to emulate empathy. And maybe we'll find those use cases, but those are the same use cases that can also be helped or used to create the very addictions that we started out talking about, and be used to manipulate people at levels that we haven't been close to yet. So it's a tricky thing. Maybe it's beneficial to have AI that emulates empathy, but maybe, like you said, maybe we should have AIs that are clearly AI, so we don't fall into the trap of thinking they are things they are not. So
yeah. So do you think the tools, there's been a few questions about some data privacy and things like that and safety. Do you think tools like ChatGPT and Claude and other tools should be more vigilant on people's sort of mental state? So if they feel like someone is, it's already kind of exists, if there's someone suicidal and things like that, so they need to give some warning or ask maybe you need to see a therapist. Do you think we need to see more of this kind of guide rail where the artificial intelligence actually need to push people to seek help and kind of stop chatting? Or have you seen kind of success in this area, or is we're not really doing well here?
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen. Have you seen examples of that, Meg, where it actually does that? Or
and I know ours does. If somebody we put a whole lot of trigger words in, so that if somebody does that, we then say you need to reach out. I think that even ChatGPT, Claude, the Meta are all doing that better now. I think if people use the mental health AI apps, the good ones and most of the good AI, you should be able to have a toggle button where you can say, I don't want my data going back into machine learning. So again, pick your AI like you would pick a friend or a colleague or a work person, and make sure that you've got those data protection in place, and that, especially if you're going to recommend or do something, that it will always refer you to a person if it senses certain words or certain themes that are coming up. So the well-built AIs, I believe, do that. And I think we're learning more and more. And Character AI, they went and changed some of their AI's learning, and now sort of often say this is an AI and remind people, and have had to build it in. So I think we'll see more of it, but I would suggest to people that they look at the data protection of the AIs they use and see if there's a toggle button, so that your data doesn't have to go into machine learning. You should be able to use the AI without giving up your data to somebody else.
And I was actually, this is like a new thought for me. So as a psychologist, if I have a client that is displaying, suicidal ideation, or I think they're in the risk of committing suicide, I need to contact the proper authorities, and someone needs to come and literally take them away because to protect them. So the question is that something we want any future potential AI therapists to have the power to do? Like, oh, warning, we need to dial 000 and
Here's your
bring in.
address. Come grab him.
Yeah.
Exactly. And how scary would that be? Although potentially beneficial, maybe in some cases. So yeah, haven't thought about that before.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
It is that, like a really blurry border. Yeah, like this person needs help, and it's probably would be better for him to get like help quicker. But probably don't want to like just AI calling 000.
And because now Sam Altman and Elon Musk has the potential to get you committed to to treatment through their mental health bot. So
yeah, that's kind of like opening the one big, another can of worms there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we can talk, for hours about this topic, because obviously it's a massive topic, multidimensional. But I think we're already 50 minutes into our chat, so is a lot of comments are popping up. But probably I want to ask you the last question to finish the stream, and the question is actually the name of our topic: AI's impact on mental health, help or harm. So, if like kind of summarizing what we discussed today, so what side are you leaning? Like, what the percentage you will give to help, what percentage you give to harm? Like, are you more optimistic or pessimistic about what's happening right now? Let's talk about what's happening right now in the field. Meg, what would be your kind of ratio?
I do believe that good, well-built AIs can actually help. And you think about, even something that's simple AI that's guided meditation is going to help somebody be present. There's AI tools out there that, without a doubt, help mental health. And unfortunately, there's AI tools out there that are causing harm. But I'd like to think that we should have learned so much more now from the internet, social media, and all sorts of things, that we can drive this in the right direction. And we should have the choice as users as to which ones we use and which ones we won't use, because that will keep the good ones going. So I think there's a lot of potential. We just have to be really cautious how we use it. And remember that it's a great tool, but it doesn't replace a human. It doesn't replace human connection.
Tim is saying it's a great tool, not a decision maker.
Yeah.
And I would, I think like all technologies, AI will be an amplifier of human capacities and qualities. And I do think there's more good than bad in humanity. I'm an optimist in that way. So hopefully AI will help us amplify the good things, and we're moving into a better future thanks to AI. I really think so, and I just hope I'm right.
Me too.
Yeah. I think overall very positive, and definitely like what examples you gave, like especially like monitoring things and creating habits, and like kind of helping you to find the patterns. I think that definitely can be the great tool for that. And I definitely I wanted to use it actually tried it with meditation and help to be more consistent, because I think a lot of people want to do mindfulness, but like being consistent and sticking to that, it's always a challenge, and you go through like up and downs, like, oh, I'm doing it, oh, I'm not doing that. So I actually feel like that's something AI can definitely help us to create these habits and be more consistent with those things. And yeah, Martin, you want to mention something?
No, I just said great product idea for someone in the audience.
Yeah,
What you
yes.
just, what
Link
you just said.
it to your wearables so that when you start,
Yeah.
your wearable realizes you're getting stressed. It'll remind you to breathe.
To breathe, yes, yeah, definitely. And we're coming to the most exciting part of our live stream, the virtual giveaway. We have quite a few comments in the chat, so I'll ask our speakers to decide who they want to have a virtual coffee chat with, and I'll just do a quick announcement for next week's. So, guys, next week, 11th of December, I'm gonna skip the live stream because I'm actually will be in Sydney. I'll be hosting Women in Enterprise Architecture event. So if you happen to be enterprise architect and you're in Sydney, come and join my event on the 11th. But on the 18th, we're going to have a last live stream of the year. And traditionally, I do it as a Q&A. It will be just me, no guests, and I'll give you a little bit networking tips and answer just your questions about, whatever is in your mind in terms of your IT career and job search and networking. And also would love your feedback on what you want to see on this channel in 2025. So we'll just have a conversation on 18th of December at 5:30 p.m. as usual. So would love you to join. So guys, have you chosen your coffee partners? Meg, who would you like to have a chat with?
Well, I think I'd like to chat to Mark, especially about snakes and New Zealand and and anything AI that we can get rid of those snakes with.
Perfect. I'll make sure I'll connect you to Mark and Martin.
I'm not quite sure how to pronounce the name of Dimi, maybe.
Yes.
Just because it seemed like there was potentially something lingering with the empathy question, maybe still. So let's do that if there's an interest.
You make sure that we connected on LinkedIn so I can connect it to Martin and follow up on the virtual coffee chat. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for your time this evening. Oh my God, look at this like piece of sun on my nose. It's just a hole in my curtain or something. I don't know. Anyway, on this exciting note, thank you everyone for joining me this evening and have a great Wednesday discussion. So it's time for everyone to have dinner. And thank you so much for joining me, Meg and Martin, and for sharing your insights.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. See everyone in